Yo, what is up guys? Partywaffles here, and today I'm coming at you guys with a 10.1 Unholy DK PvP guide. It took me about a week because I needed to test a bunch of builds to see which ones I liked the most and what was working the best and everything like that. And at first it was different, but since they just nerfed the zombie talent today, so I'm trying to find ways to not have to play the zombie talent so that we can kind of avoid it. It's a fun talent, don't get me wrong, but it's really RNG and there's a lot of problems with it, okay? And I know a lot of people don't enjoy playing with it. So I've been testing out non-zombies for the last few days. I got number 1 DK solo shuffle without playing zombies, so you can do it. Threes has felt good as well. And also the zombies don't really work the best with the tier set because the tier set is built around spamming coils essentially, so death coils. So this is going to work better with the tier set. It's going to be less RNG. You're going to be in control. A lot of people are going to enjoy this a lot more, okay? So a lot of these talents are going to be flex talents that you can choose depending what your personal preference is, but I'll explain those ones to you. All right, so it's going to be a similar build in the terms that it's Unholy Assault and Super Strain is the core of it, which is the same thing we played last season. I'm going to show you a slight variation where you can play with Commander Super Strain as well if you wanted that, if you prefer. But let's just go take a look at this build, okay? We're going to start on the left. So on the left side, it's pretty cookie cutter, pretty much the same as every build has been for the last 5 months, basically. So you're going to have Icebound Fortitude, you're going to have double Chains of Ice, you're going to have big anti-magic shell, improved Death Strike, you're going to have double Death Grip, you're going to have 40-yard Death Grip, and then we're going to have A-Bomb Limb and Empowered Rune Weapon, okay? So pretty standard, pretty cookie cutter, nothing exciting there. On the right side here, so this is going to be a little different, okay? So last season we were playing Unholy Blight, and then we were playing Even Fever, okay? So I dropped, this is one of the personal preference things here you guys could choose if you like. You could take Epidemic and Unholy Blight, and you could play Unholy Blight if you like it, as opposed to, say, Ghoulish Frenzy and Coil of Devastation. You could drop those talents and you could go for that. The reason that I opted to go for Ghoulish Frenzy and Coil of Devastation rather than Unholy Blight was because taking Unholy Blight, you have a dead talent, right? Epidemic is pretty much useless and does no damage. So sure, Unholy Blight does like 5% of your damage or something like that, but Coil of Devastation also does 5% of your damage, and then I don't have to take a dead talent. I can just put the talent that was there into something else, like Ghoulish Frenzy, for instance, which a Ghoulish Frenzy is going to be extra damage in my burst, right? So this is going to be my build right here, okay? It's going to look something like this. It's essentially just Unholy Assault, Super Strain, but then the main difference here is that it's built around Death Coils because of the tier set, as well as we're not playing Even Fever. So what this means, not playing Even Fever, you might think, why are we not playing Even Fever if we have Plaguebringer and Super Strain? The reason being, okay, even without playing Eben, I'm not sure how you say it, but even without playing Eben Fever, your dots are still doing a ton of damage, right? Like this only affects your Plague anyways, right? So with this, without playing this talent, you don't need to apply your dots nearly as much. You're only losing a little bit of dot damage because we're still playing Plaguebringer. We still have all the dots. We're only losing a little bit of damage off off one of your dots, right? One of your many dots. So it's nice because like it's a small damage sacrifice, but we don't have to press that button as much. So less times that we have to press Outbreak and apply our dots means more times that we can press Death Coil, right? More times we can press Scourge Strike, which is going to give us Fester Might, which is going to give us our Necrotic Wounds, which is going to apply our Plaguebringer. So it's a lot easier on your globals, right? You're just going to be spamming Scourge Strike and you're going to be spamming Death Coil pretty much. So it's honestly even simpler to play than the build last season, and it feels really effective. So another thing I'm going to highlight here is it's also got Gargoyle, right? So it's basically almost the same as last. There's not really much else to say. Like I'll go over the Death Coil talents over here, okay? So we have Sudden Doom, and then we have both Sudden Doom multipliers, which is going to make us our second Death Coil hit harder. It's going to give us extra coils to build our tier set faster, which we'll show you the tier set after. It's going to give you extra coils. Also, anytime you're going to get double Sudden Doom procs as well. So another thing about this is anytime that you use a Sudden Doom coil, you increase your Scourge Strike damage by 50% for 10 seconds, okay? Which isn't... Honestly, Scourge Strike doesn't hit too much, so it's nothing crazy, but then if you throw it into Reaping, then it is as well. Because say, if they're below 30% health, or sorry, If they're below 35% health, they're going to take an additional 30% damage from your Scourge Strike already, right? And then if you add on top the 50%, you can end up actually getting some pretty good Scourge Strikes going. So once you get them below 35% health, you start to do significantly more damage because your coils are going to be hitting harder, your Scourge Strikes are going to be hitting harder, everything like that. So it's almost like an execute in a way. Like I get around 80,000 death coils with this when they're below 30% HP. So you can definitely get some good damage going. So some of the flex talents that I wanted to talk about though are these ones right here, okay? So say for instance, you didn't want Harbinger. This one I probably would keep though. Say Coil of Devastation or Reaping or something. Any of these talents really. It's always personal preference, okay? The main meat and potatoes of this build is going to be the Super Strain and the Unholy Assault. If you want to move this Reaping talent and you wanted to play Unholy Pact instead, you could. If you wanted to move this Ghoulish Frenzy for say over here to Unholy Pact, you could do that, right? Like if you want more cleave when your pet's transformed, you could do that. This one is going to be single target damage, right, when your pet's transformed, but at the same time, it's going to be increasing your dot damage as well during your go. So this is like a burst talent, right? Burst talent with a little bit of a visual cue where your pet is. And then here we have, say, Morbidity. If you wanted this, for instance. So if I took this instead of Ghoulish Frenzy, it's going to give me 3% damage for my dots, plus this one counts as well. So it's going to give me 4% damage pretty much all the time, right? And this is only going to give me 5% during my burst window, as well as some attack speed. So you got to look at the talents and think of them like this, right? Like think this one's burst, this one's sustained damage. So it depends what you want, right? It's all up to you. At the moment though, this is the exact setup that I'm playing it as. But like I said, some of this could change. Like say if you want Harbinger, you have to get this, but these can switch around, right? It's not going to destroy the build or anything like that. Like say you wanted to play like this, you could play like this. Say you wanted to play like this, you could play like this, right? And then, or if you wanted Reaping, you could put it like this. These talents are pretty, like I said, it's your decision, okay? It's your decision how you want to play with those, but this is how I'm playing with them that's working really well for me. But like I said, as long as you keep to the main part of the build, you will be good. Another thing too that I've seen, some people are liking Commander of the Dead build right now, which is the same build, right? Same build. It's just swapped. So instead of having Unholy Assault and Festermite, you'll only have Commander, so you don't have to really worry about Festermite. Some people like this as well. You could play like this too, okay? The way that I have this set up, it all works with either Super String Commander or Unholy Assault Commander. But me, I'm a fan of Unholy Assault Commander because the meta feels fast and slow at the same time. It's weird, but it seems like there's a lot of casters, and the thing about Unholy Assault is that it's really good into casters because you just go in and then you Unholy Assault and you get your pets out and you go right away. Because not only can the casters kite the pets, the casters also, if you go in there and you put one Festering Strike on them and you get 3 wounds or whatever, and they get away from you before you can get the other Festering Strike, then you need to wait until you connect again, hit a Festering Strike, and then they're probably going to get away again before you can even Apocalypse. And it just delays everything and splits up your go, and it's really not the most ideal. So this is how we're going to be playing it. All right, let's talk about PvP talents for a minute here, okay? So, Necrotic Wounds, it's pretty much permanent. You're going to be keeping this, okay? You have a lot of time to... So the thing is, one of the upsides of not playing this talent is that you have a lot more time to press other globals rather than reapplying your dots constantly, because your dots are going to last a lot longer. So you can keep your Necrotic Wounds up a lot more. So this is obviously going to be a big heal. It's going to be a big healing absorb on your enemy. You're going to want to play that baseline, okay? Middle talent. So at the moment, until you get 4-piece tier set, you can change this if you really wanted to, right? Like you could play something else for now. But once, like say Bloodforged Armor or something like that, so it's kind of a flex talent at the moment, you can do that. But the thing is, once you get your 4-piece tier set, you can't change A-Bomb, okay? Because your Abomination is going to instantly build you the stacks that you need for your tier set. So you're going to go in, press A-Bomb, get your 20 stacks right away. So without A-Bomb, you're going to have to press like 10 or whatever, a certain amount of death coils, right? Which obviously you don't want to go in and have to do that because you're going to fall behind really quickly. So this is going to allow you to go in and just play like you normally play. But right now, you don't need it right now until the tier set, but it's still nice. I'm playing it personally right now. The next talent. So what I'm going to be playing with this build is I'm going to be playing Necrotic Aura, okay? My top damage is coils. My second top damage is dots, all of which are magic, and this amplifies magic damage. So, as well as if you have any magic teammates with you, it's going to be nice for them as well. If you want, you could. This is your flex talent, okay? I personally don't really flex it. I just play Necrotic Aura at the moment. But you could play Necrotic Aura, you could play Strangulate. This is where you could put this in, because like I said, these two you're never going to change once you reach tier set. So you could put this in if you wanted, but this is going to be your flex talent, but keep in mind I'm mostly playing Necrotic Aura. And then Reanimation. So Reanimation, it's really good, right? Really good, but it just got nerfed, and they didn't fix any of the issues with it. So if you want to play Reanimation, you can, okay? Even the old builds that I used to play, like, the thing is, Reanimation with Death Coil isn't as good because you want to be spamming the Reanimation. So if you want to play like a full zombie build, you're going to be looking at something like this, okay? I played this with zombies. It works really good. So if you want to play zombies, go for something like this. Apply your dots a lot. Use your runic power on your zombies, everything like that, right? You don't want to be spamming coils nearly as much. All right, on to the next part, okay? Next thing we're going to look at here is itemization, all right? So, let's get into it. Itemization is going to be the same as last season, all right? So, you can either go, there's two ways you're going to play it. You can either go full mastery and not really worry about any other stats. Obviously, you're going to get the versatility too that comes with your gear, right? Verse mastery. So, you can either go full verse mastery, or you can do what I'm doing on some of my DKs, is going this 10% haste when I'm in PvP will turn into about 13.5. So having between 13 and 14% haste is going to increase your GCDs, and yeah, it's going to increase your GCDs, which means more GCDs, more coils, everything like that. So it's nice just to get the faster GCDs and then go full mastery. Because the thing about mastery, or sorry, another thing about haste is that haste doesn't affect your dot damage at all. Okay, mastery affects your dot damage. And if you see one of my breakdowns for my game, the damage breakdown is going to look like this for this build, okay? It's going to be Death Coil number 1, and then it's going to be your dots number 2, and it's going to be your pets number 3, okay? And all three of those things that I just mentioned scale with mastery, okay? Another thing to mention is later on in the season when we have a ton of mastery, you could hypothetically play Clawing Shadows because it scales with mastery really well, but I'm going to stick with Plaguebringer because I like Super Strain and it's still a lot of rot damage. Even without Even Fever, it's still a lot of rot damage. So, all right, so let's go over itemization now. We went over the stats, but let's talk about itemization. So as far as tier goes, okay, this is how your tier set works, and this is why we're playing a Death Coil build. So Death Coil and Epidemic do increased damage. Every time you cast a Death Coil, it grants a stack of Master of Death, okay? Up to 20 stacks. Dark Transformation which is right here, which is your burst, okay? Dark Transformation consumes all the stacks. So the way we're going to want to play is you're going to want to have full stacks before you do your Dark Transformation go every single time, okay? So this might seem questionable at the start, right? Like, how are you going to do that at the start? Well, the first go, until you get 4 pieces of tier, you're not going to do it. You're not going to wait for your coils off the rip, right? You're not going to go in there and you're not going to try and get 20 stacks. You're just going to go in here and you're going to play normal, right? But the difference is going to come once we get our 4 set. So with the 2 set, we'll have the 20 stacks for our second go, but not for the first go. But the thing is, once we get the 4 set, all we have to do is press Raise Abomination in the opener like we already do, right? It's already our burst. And it's instantly going to give us 20 stacks. So once we get 4 pieces of tier, it's going to make our gameplay a lot smoother, and the tier set's going to work really nicely. So as far as tier item goes, while we're talking about them, you're going to get full tier, okay, minus the legs. You're not going to get tier legs. You're going to craft legs, okay? You're going to craft the legs, and then you're going to get full tier everywhere else. Other than that, the 2 embellished items that you're going to go with are going to be, all right? So the first one I'm using is these boots. I recrafted the boots to 450 with the effect successfully applying a loss of control effect to an enemy, interrupting a target, or dispelling any target increases your primary stats by 5/10, okay? So we're going to use that one. And then on the legs, I'm going to use the second embellishment. which is going to be, these are a little bit of speculation still, okay? Because these just came out. This is a little bit of speculation, but like I said, I'll make another guide in 10 point or whatever, the 10.5 or whatever it is, if anything changes. But for now, this is what we're going with. So it's going to be the crafted legs, and the embellishment that you're going to use is going to be, I'm going to try the Shadow Flame one. So it's either going to be the Shadow Flame one, or it's going to be the one where when you get slowed, you do more damage, okay? Those are the two. It's going to be one of those two. Or there's a cloak, the Spore Pod's cloak, okay, which has a healing. I haven't tried it. I'm not sure how strong it is. If the healing on the cloak it's nerfed in PvP, but if the healing on the cloak ends up being OP, the cloak could be another item that we could use, and then we could swap between our legs with the embellishment we just talked about and boots, and then maybe we could switch out the cloak, the legs for the cloak when we need to be really tanky or something like that. So as far as that, it's all the same there. Enchants, okay? Enchants are going to be all the same. I'm just going Mastery versus Gems. Zen Neltherite. Going Mastery versus Gems. And then same thing. So Planesrunner Breeze. And then as far as chest goes, you can go Waking Stats. If you want to be a little bit tankier with your Death Strikes because it's going to give you more HP, you can go Sustained Strength. And then you're going to go Speed on Bracers, Speed on Cloak. And obviously with your legs, you're going to go Fierce Armor Kit. Alright, and then trinkets, if you're playing Unholy, you're going to go this trinket right here. As far as weapon enchants go, it's going to be Rune of Fallen Crusader. One thing to note about weapon enchants, okay? Since we don't have the Spell Ward and PvP enchant anymore, if you get lucky and you get 2 weapons really early in your vault or something like that, we have Spell Warding still, okay? You could put the Rune of Spell Warding on one of your weapons, and you could play it into double casters, and then you essentially still have a Spell Warding, okay? You're going to obviously be losing Fallen Crusader, but that's a thing to keep an eye on. I don't know if it's going to be worth doing. I'm just giving you guys a heads up, so maybe you can plan ahead and get a weapon or keep an eye on it or something like that. But anyways, let's get into the damage portion of this. Alright, fellas, I'm going to teach you guys how to do some damage. So this build is actually pretty easy to play and do damage with, like comparatively to the one last season. I had pretty much every build. I don't know, it's even comparatively to the zombies, like this is pretty easy. So it's going to go with something, this is just how you do basic damage, okay? So it's going to be like this. You're going to keep your dot up on the target. Obviously your pet's going to be attacking the target, your pet's on assist. And then dot on the target, apply your wounds, and then burst your wounds, right? Burst your wounds with Scourge Strikes. And then when you get coils, use your coils, right? So one thing to note here with this build though, when you get a sudden doom proc, look right here, okay? So look at their buffs. There it is, Rotten Touch. When they have Rotten Touch, your Scourge Strikes are gonna hit for 50% more. So try to send your Scourge Strikes when you have Rotten Touch ideally, so you're maximizing your buffs and everything like that, right? Another thing, that's pretty much it though. Like, dot them, use your runic power on death coils and death strikes if needed, and then burst your wounds, apply your wounds, burst your wounds. That's literally it. Try not to overcap your runic power and waste runic power, and try not to waste wounds, but like, look at it. The dots last a lot longer now with this build, so you don't have to worry about reapplying them nearly as much. So it's going to be much easier for you to keep your uptime on your dots, okay? So, but most of the time, it's going to look like this. Like, say I'm fighting this guy. He's already got wounds on him. I'm mostly just going to be spamming coils and spamming Scourge Strikes. That's pretty much it. Just spam coils and Scourge Strikes. Try and maximize your necrotic wounds. Like, see the necrotic wound stacks here? Try and keep your necrotic wound stacks at 6 as much as possible, obviously. And then as well as your Festermite stacks. You can't really see them here too well, but another thing too. When you burst wounds, so see these stacks up here? Every time you burst a wound, it's going to be giving you a 2% strength buff. So another important thing about that is, if you have multiple wounds on multiple targets, and I'll show you over here. If you have multiple wounds on multiple targets, I don't have them. One sec. So look what happens. Okay, so I got multiple wounds on these targets here, watch. Now watch my Festermite stacks. Watch. I hit this, I instantly got 2 Festermite stacks because it's bursting the wounds on everybody, right? So if you're bursting a lot of wounds, you're going to get a lot faster Festermite stacks and build your strength up really quickly. So that's a good thing too. Always try and make sure if you got a bunch of people stacked, if you got people stacked together or anything like that, try and drop a Death and Decay, because your Death and Decay is going to make your Scourge Strike hit everything in it. So that's a big part of your damage, is since you're Scourge Striking a lot. Say you get a Rotten Touch proc, and you want to be cleaving your Scourge Strikes, right? So we'll go over that one more time. Keep your dot up, apply wounds, burst wounds for Fester Might and Necrotic wounds, and then use your Runic Power on Death Coils. Try not to overcap your Runic Power. So your main damage is going to be Death Coils, okay? Death Coil is going to be your hardest hitting damage ability. And then we're going to take a look at bursting. Alright, let's do some burst damage. My cat wanted to say hi real quick. Hey guys. Okay, so basically if our burst damage is like this, okay? And it's like this. So you drop an A-bomb when you're running in. When you connect, press Unholy Assault, Apocalypse, which is Gargoyle as well, Dark Transformation, and then Empower Rune Weapon, and A-bomb Limb. And then I like to drop a Death Coil under 2, and then just start spamming Death Coil. Because your Death Coil is going to increase the damage of your Gargoyle. So every Runic Power spent increases the damage of your Gargoyle. Same with Sudden Doom procs, everything like that. And then, so it's basically just going to be like that. Keep your dots up on them, and then just spam coils for the Gargoyle, and then Scourge Strike to burst your wounds and keep your 6 necrotic wounds up and try and have as much Fester Might as possible. But yeah, so in solo shuffle, this is pretty much what I do. I do the rotation you just saw there, so I'll run in, I'll do that rotation on one person, and then what I'll usually do is, after I got all the bursts going and the D&D down, I grip the healer in, and I stun him on top, and then I'll just start cleaving death, because the Death Coils cleave as well, right? So I'll start cleaving Death Coils and cleaving Scourge Strikes on top of both of them, and it will be massive damage, and you will get a lot of cooldowns. But I'll reiterate that burst window one more time for you guys. I'll just explain it slow-mo. And so one other thing, if you're in the middle of the game and you already have your so the reason I'm Unholy Salting in the opener is because it puts the wounds up for me so I can Apocalypse right away. So if you're in a situation and you already have the wounds, then just go ahead and Apocalypse and send the Unholy Assault at the end when the pets are all out, so the pets just get the haste bonus, right? Like the reason I'm doing it in the opener is to get the wounds, but if you already have the wounds, there's no point. Just use it at the end so your pets can maximize the haste bonus from it. So it's going to be like this, okay? So I'm going to summon my Abomination. Boom, Abomination. And then I'm going to run while I'm running at them ideally. And then when I'm connected, we'll say that I already have the wounds, okay? But usually I would press Unholy Assault right off the whip. But we'll pretend like, look, oh, I already had the wounds on him, okay? So I'm going to Apocalypse, which is macroed with my Gargoyle. And then I'm going to press Dark Transformation. All my pets are attacking this guy. And then I'm going to press Empowered Rune Weapon, which is also macroed with A-bomb Limb. Right there. Boom. Okay? You want to obviously make sure your dots are up, though. I'm just trying to show you the rotation. Just make sure your dots are up, though, with Plague Bringer. Okay? And there it is. And then, like I said, if there's, like, say this is a healer over here, grip him on top, drop a Death and Decay, and then just start cleaving on everybody. Any situation where, because the thing about Death and Decay is, it makes you cleave everything, but because of this talent, it also gives you haste. So try and throw that down when you can. Try and throw that down when you can, whenever you can get value out of it, okay? Especially in PvE. But yeah, that's pretty much it for the burst, guys. But I play this game pretty much every single day on stream. So if you guys want to come watch me slay the solo shuffle or the 3v3 bracket, you can catch me at twitch.tv/PartyWafflesX. If you got any questions or anything like that, leave them below. Remember, things can change still, right? This is only a week into the season. But this is, after playing all week, this is what I like the most, all right? I tried to keep it open-ended, explain to you guys where the talents can be changed for personal preference, so you guys can kind of build your own way. But everything I explained in this video will work, so however you want to play it. So yeah, just if you like the video, drop a like, and I will see you guys next time. I'm going to make a Frost video next, so look forward to the Frost video, guys, and I hope you have a good day.